It has been a very productive and intensive 2 days. We've talked about the urgent need to accelerate our transition to sustainable, inclusive, green economies. We've identified some of the key drivers for accelerating our commitments, and we've heard about some impressive achievements from governments, from NGOs, from the private sector, from science and academia. And here, in this session, we want to stay with the topic of achievement. It is fitting that this final session begins with a recognition of the work of individuals and communities who are already putting sustainability thinking into practice. And it's not only we who want to commend their achievement, but in fact, all the members of the group that we're going to be introducing in just a moment have already won very prestigious awards for their efforts. And as you see, I have a co-moderator with me to share the pleasure of introducing the award recipients. But before we do that, I want to ask him to say a few words about how what we're doing here, how this award recognition session fits into the overall aims of our conference. So it's a very great pleasure to hand over the stage to Mr. Edgar Gutiérrez. He is Minister of Environment and Energy for Costa Rica, and he is President of the UN Environment Assembly. Dear Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Melinda. As policymakers, leaders, and academics, over the past 2 days, we have shared our knowledge and ideas for creating an environment where the Sustainable Development Goals are within reach. We have discussed the benefits that greener economies bring: fairer work for all, enhanced management of natural resources, and increased prosperity, to name but a few. As Jeffrey Sachs told us yesterday, it also requires long-term planning, and we are on that endeavor. For example, Costa Rica's National Energy Plan 2015-2030 ensures that I continue using electricity generation within 100% renewable resources while decarbonizing our economy by 2030. From every angle, green economy lies at the core of Sustainable Development Goals. And our economies, if they serve us properly, are fertile ground for achieving these targets. We hear the word sustainability repeated again and again, but what does that mean in reality? What does it look like? Today, we are here to celebrate the efforts of 4 award winners recognized for putting sustainability into practice. These winners, who we'll soon invite to the stage, show that positive change can happen at every level. From a partnership of rice farmers in Southeast Asia, doubling their yields using less water, to a collective of women in Gambia harvesting oysters, whether at the national or individual level, we all can make a valuable contribution. Turning the spotlight to ourselves in this room, we are all making a difference to the 2030 agenda, just in the choices we make as individuals. Like the young advertiser we will meet, with a vision for a better world, or the designer who challenges the status quo, we need to communicate our efforts so we can inspire others to follow our lead. Thank you. Melinda?
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much. So let us get started, and we begin with the award of the UN Environment's Champions of the Earth. It is the United Nations' highest environmental honor. It recognizes visionary people and organizations all over the world who exemplify leadership and advocate action on sustainable development, climate change, and a life of dignity for all. In 2016, this award went to a woman who calls herself a sustainability provocateur, a very intriguing title. She's a designer, a social scientist, and an entrepreneur who developed the disruptive design method. And let's see a short film about her work.
I'm sitting in a design class, and my 90-year-old professor. He was so old. Opens a textbook and he's all like, okay guys, today we have to learn about this thing called the Gaia theory, which is that everything in nature is interconnected. And you're probably going to make decisions as a designer that'll have far-reaching, catastrophic environmental impacts. So yeah, anyway, moving right along. And I was like, whoa, 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 just whoa, 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 what? What do you mean? So I turned to the rest of my class, and I'll never forget this. There's this kid, he says, Leyla, I don't know why you're freaking out. It's not like any of these catastrophic environmental impacts will happen in our lifetime, so why should we care? And that changed the entire trajectory of my life, because I was all like, oh, I'm gonna make you care. I live and breathe, therefore I require the Earth's natural resources to survive. I need to figure out how humans work, how the planet works, and how I can work in that space. It's like a giant puzzle for me. And I'd call myself a sustainability provocateur because I'm here to push buttons and provoke, to respectfully challenge the status quo. I develop a lot of educational tools that other people can use, from games to systems interventions. I do things like e-waste autopsies so they can understand the planned obsolescence and the elements that go into making them unsustainable. We started a gang for disruptive change makers. Who doesn't want to join a gang that's going to change the world? Then I also developed the Unschool of Disruptive Design. It's an experimental knowledge lab. We pop up all over the world, all professionals willing to challenge the status quo through creative interventions so that they can help elevate sustainability within their community. I think that the most important thing is that we reimagine the systems, because the systems aren't working, and we know that. We see system failures everywhere through the externalities, from waste through to poverty. We all have the agency to reimagine the way the systems are designed and to contribute to the conversation about how the future can work better for all of us. And frankly, I believe that we're going to be able to figure out how to live in a really beautiful, sustainable and regenerative planet that is better than what we have today. I'm definitely not volunteering for Mars, just FYI. I'm on Spaceship Earth. That's where I'm staying.
Leyla Acaroglu, please come to stage. Thank you.
Oh, I'm a little embarrassed, actually. I get very excited about the planet. I can't help it. So that was me, thanks. That was basically everything I stand for. But I did start a school.
If history has taught us anything, it's...
What has history taught us? God voice. Okay, that was really a nice little intervention, which is a really good thing to say. So I design interventions that shift the status quo. And the way I do that is to understand the complex, dynamic, beautiful, interconnected systems that we all exist within and that we share the resources of. So the work that I do is really about trying to understand how any individual, no matter how small or big their sphere of influence is, no matter where they come from, what gender, race, or sexual preference they have the agency to affect positive change in the world around them. Because every problem holds its own solution. It's the law of thermodynamics and physics, and we all know that everything that exists has antimatter. And so every problem must have its own solution embedded within it. And we need pioneers and miners of problems, not just people who talk about them. And so through design, we learn to iteratively and actively participate in the world. We understand how to deconstruct things that exist and to reconfigure them in different ways. And that's really what we are doing with the Unschool. We have a global community of young, engaged, vibrant humans, some aren't so young actually, that have volunteered themselves and their brains to do something more significant. They're motivated by purpose, and they need the tools to do it, because most of our educational initiatives and institutions don't give people the practical tools to change the world around them. And so we use systems thinking, sustainability sciences, and design thinking as three very strong foundational, that's four, but three very strong foundational pillars to help people agentize themselves to change the world around them. And whilst I think that education is a really critical component of the change we need to see in the world, what's more important is that we model behavior and that we show people that sustainability isn't some fluffy, hippie add-on thing that you can do, that it's really important. Because the one uniting factor of all of us in this room is that we have to breathe 30,000 times a day, about, on average. And we forget that. we forget that over and over again as humans. And when we have these high-level discussions and we sit in chairs that are badly designed, by the way, these are not good design chairs. Sorry. This is an occupational hazard I have. We sit here and we think that we have made progress because we're all agreeing. I love what I've heard over the last few days. It makes me feel like we've really, really solved a lot of problems, which I think we are doing. But at the end of the day, it's the micro decisions that every human on this planet makes that makes unsustainability possible. And so we have to figure out ways of agentizing people to be the leaders, the pioneers and the change makers, from the CEOs of governments to 5-year-old kids. And the only way we're going to do that is if we redesign the systems. And the way we do that is to understand the systems and to have a deep connection. And so I always argue that we need substance, not surface. We need to go for the bottom of the iceberg. We need to reimagine the thinking paradigms that got us to this mess, and then we'll be able to redesign the economy so it works better for all of us. So thank you all very much for having me, and for all of the work you do as well.
So Leyla's prize was, in fact, the one that was awarded most recently in our group, and we now move on to the one that was awarded longest ago. You can think of this ceremony as something like a prize aggregator, and of course what's interesting about that is then we can see a bit about what the prize winners have accomplished since they received their prizes. So our next winner is the SEED Award for Entrepreneurship in Sustainable Development. And this award is aimed at finding the most promising, innovative, and locally led eco-inclusive startups in countries with developing and emerging economies. An independent SEED international jury of experts selects enterprises which have the potential to make real improvements in poverty eradication and environmental sustainability while also contributing to a greener economy. In 2005, SEED awarded this prize to the Cambodian Center for Study and Development in Agriculture for its SRI, and that stands for System of Rice Intensification Global Marketing Partnership.
And Vitou, come to the stage, please.
Sam, please tell us more.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the German government and the organizer for page that invited me. Actually, we received that award in 2005 for 12 years already. On our initiative on system of rice intensification that we improve, like from Cambodia, a bit history of Cambodia that after we got Paris Peace Agreement in 91, the rice production in Cambodia is very low compared to other countries in the region. We got less than 1 ton per hectare. And until we not invented new thing, but we adopted SRI from Madagascar in year 2000, and with just only 28 farmers apply or experimented that techniques. And after 2 years, we found that a farmer who used to have food insecurity, they start to get surplus. And in 2003, we start to bring the rice we call organic rice to the market. And in 2005, we received a SEED award from the UNEP. And then our government start to recognize our initiative on bringing the idea to replacing conventional practice. And the government putting this as one of their strategy to improve the rice productivity in Cambodia. And seven years later, the government also write another strategy to export for 1 million tons of meal rice, because Cambodia used to have to be dependent on rice from World Food Program and so. But later on, we start to export rice. And nowadays we have many countries that link to our farmers market. Like in the U.S., that we found that the Lotus Food, they put their slogan like healthy rice for a healthy life. And more crop per drop, that is because of the rice that we doing organically is increasing. The family agriculture in Cambodia, that mostly 85% of Cambodian total household. And then according to the recent research, that replacing chemical with agroecological increasing Cambodian farmer income by four times. So that when farmer practicing the ecological agriculture, their income increasing stably. And compared to the conventional practice and related to the fluctuation of the market, we found that the conventional farmers start to get trapped in the market, like they are indebtedness because of using chemical fertilizer, because of using pesticide that according to the data from the Ministry of Agriculture, 1 million tons of chemical fertilizer imported to Cambodia. It is a huge amount, and in terms of money, that it costs around $500 million US. That is 5 times over the Ministry of Agriculture budget.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Sam Vitou. Our third award links two topics that we've spoken about repeatedly over the past 2 days, namely the need to raise public awareness to change people's mindset, and the crucial transformative role that can and must be played by the private sector. The Cannes Young Lions Award is a competition that is linked to the Cannes Film Festival and that recognizes achievement by young advertising and communications professionals. Competitors have just 48 hours, 2 days, to answer a brief, and in 2015, that brief related to a global charity, and the award was won by a young 2-person team based here in Germany. Here is the winning spot that they came up with.
Has taught us anything, it's that when we humans get together, we can achieve the most amazing things, things that no one would have ever dreamed possible. Like when thousands of us went to the streets to protest against the McRib removal from the McMenu, and we got it back. Like convincing millions of people to cut their hair like this, or wear rubber strainers on their feet. Together we've managed to make this girl from Canada an international star, and taught people all over the world to dance like a horse, plank like a plank, smile like a duck, and do the Harlem Shake. So if we can do all these seemingly impossible things, how hard can tackling the most global threats to life on our planet be? Let's join forces with the WWF now for the next big thing, saving our planet. Start by sharing this video and taking action at WWF.org. Because if we can stand another Kim Kardashian selfie, we can do anything. If history has taught us anything, it's that when we...
Christina Rankel.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow. I'm a bit nervous, and I'm very happy that you laughed, actually, because I was kind of scared about that. So, yeah, I think what you can see is we took part, and we want to try out if we can use, humor and ironic stuff to make people entertain and think about serious topics like sustainable lifestyle. Because I think before we went to Cannes, all the stuff that I saw in advertising regarding this topic was very serious, because of course we're talking about something very serious, so everyone keeps being serious and they show, dying animals or starving kids and stuff like that, and then you feel bad, and we wanted to find a way to leave people with good feeling and lift them up and motivate them. Yeah, actually, I don't have anything else to say.
That's just fine. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Thank you very much. We're going to come back to all of you later, so we'll find a few more things to say shortly. Finally, fourth award that we want to recognize here today is the Equator Prize. It's awarded by the Equator Initiative biennially to recognize outstanding community efforts to reduce poverty through the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity. And it's designed to shine a spotlight on local and/or indigenous groups across the tropics who are working at grassroots level. In 2012, at the Rio Plus 2012 Summit, it went to the Oyster Women's Association, whose executive director is with us here today.
Please, Fatou. Fatou Janha.
Hello.
Hello.
So what I want, really, I want to start from where I want to end from. Do you all understand what that means? Bottom-up approach. But unfortunately, I won't be given the chance to do all that. But one thing I want to say first is we cannot have a healthy environment when you don't have healthy people. It's impossible. Secondly, let us try to empower women. If you empower women, you empower the whole nation. I'm not saying you don't empower men, but I'm saying that women, they understand better. Empower them, give them capacity building, which is continuous. It's a continuous process. It's not just something that you just do once and finish with it. Then you will have a better environment to live in. Now, my story is with the women doing oysters in the Gambia. As you all know, Gambia is a little country. But now we are big because our president has just gone and everybody knows about the Gambia and the political, so you congratulate us. So I passed by the women selling oysters on the main road. Now, as far as I could remember, they were still in the poor vicinity doing the same thing over and over the years. Nobody really bothered to check on them. We bought oysters, but we never looked beyond the oysters. So I personally, with my children and friends, came up together to see what we can do for these women. So what we needed to do was just to organize them. We organized one community with 40 members, and by the end of the 2 years, we had 15 communities with over 700 members. So they all came up to us and said, look, Fatou, this is what we want. We want someone to help us organize ourselves. We don't know what to do. How do you help us? Now, what we did was just to get them organized, expose them, get the media to showcase their programs, took them to the river, to the mangroves, and see the importance of the mangroves, and see how these women were cutting the mangroves, which is very important to us. And then people started wondering, so, oh, is it how oysters is being, we eat oysters, but we don't know where oysters are coming from. So that's how we started this program. And of course, we had lots of media coverage, and the government officials, everybody came on board. Then with a little amount of $14,000 that was given to us by USAID, led us to where we got to win this award. Probably if you gave that $14,000 to government, they would have used it for fuel for 1 month. But we achieved a lot. The women are able to conserve the mangroves. They're able to do alternative livelihoods. They are able to replant the mangroves every day, every year. And this is what we have achieved. Now, I don't know if the mangroves is where we have these small fishes. And without those mangroves, you guys don't have fish to eat. That's the fish that goes to the Atlantic Ocean. So what we are saying is that if you empower, capacitate the grassroots women, we will get a greener economy. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Fatou Janha. So let us come back to all of you because we have a little bit more time, and I think we have a few follow-up questions, and perhaps I'll just get us started and the minister can weigh in as he likes. But Leyla, a question to you, because as I said, you were the most recent winner of the various awards we are commemorating here. So can you just say a little bit specifically, maybe 2 or 3 designs, 2 or 3 projects that you are especially proud of that you think have made a particular difference? If you can give us a sense concretely of how can design both provoke and change?
Great. Well, I'll actually dovetail off this incredibly important topic of empowering women. I did a project that resulted in a toolkit called the Gender Equity Toolkit. I did that in partnership with the National Body of Designers in the United States. And we wanted to solve the problem of why women weren't in more positions of leadership in the creative industries. I mean, the communication sector has an appalling rate of women in top jobs, but most of the graduates are women, and this is across the design and creative sectors. And so I looked at this idea of equality and how it plays out, and I did a deep dive research. I used the method that we teach in the school called the disruptive design method, where we mine, we landscape, and we build. And through that, I uncovered some fascinating things, and that is that the outcome of our goal with equality is to have a more equitable society. And so we need equity. What is equity? Equity is the access to resources at the time one needs in order to flourish. And we don't have equity access pathways for many people, and that applies to men and women. And so what I developed was a toolkit that uses cognitive science to help people reframe the implicit biases that limit people's ability to see something other than what they impose on someone. So we have all of these cognitive glitches inside our heads that limit our ability to see something different to what we think is the status quo. And so this toolkit's being rolled out and used in agencies and schools and things around the US. And so I'm particularly proud of that most recently. Years ago, I developed something called the design play cards. I'm really into using play and humor as a way of making change. I think everyone in the room will remember that image of Kim Kardashian and the possibility of enduring that for the rest of our lives versus perhaps protecting the planet, which we all require. And so the design play cards is being used globally. I lost track of who and how it's being used, but it's a set of really simple cards that teach the eco-design strategies. Does anyone know what the eco-design strategies are? Designers, please tell me there's one in the room. No one knows. Design for disassembly, design for modularity, design for recyclability. We've got one? There's very simple rules of thumb that help people who shape the material world around us make decisions that lower the environmental impacts. They're not rocket science. They're just not very well known. And so I made this card deck, and it's easily available online, and it's being used all over the world. And most recently, I had a young woman from India come to one of my programs, actually here in Berlin, and we brought her out, we sponsored her place, and she said that 2 years earlier she had played with the design play cards and it had totally changed how she saw design, and that's why she came to our program. So for me, like the things that I design, they challenge people to think differently, and they then also create the conditions for sustainability. So what we need to do is we don't need to change people's behavior, we need to change the conventions that make sustainability and disposability the mainstream. And that's really how we get the kind of change we need in the world to help solve some of these critical issues.
Thank you very much. Minister?
Well, we listen to each of you, and there is a common denominator. And I think sustainable development is about that. Each of you just, as you just said it, change the way we are doing things. We have to change the way we are doing it. We have to change our lifestyles. We have to change our consumption patterns. We have to be brave enough to challenge our surroundings, to challenge our visions, to challenge our opportunities. And that's what you did, and I congratulate you, indeed.
Let me pick up on that and ask Sam Vitou, because as we heard, your prize was awarded in 2005. Your initiative has already produced some very impressive results, including, for example, that 4-fold increase in the incomes of the farmers who are involved. So clearly a lot of change has happened. What single change in say, the policy framework in your country or perhaps in the economic and financial system would help you to scale that up even further or to achieve even greater results?
Yeah, thank you. The award have changed entire the Cambodian farming society. Firstly, is that the government put it as their agenda for improving or intensification of rice production, and then nowadays the agenda of the government that they start to draft the roadmap for the organic agriculture in Cambodia. Even it is in the initial way, but it going to change, because you see that it also based on the international market. For example, like Cambodian rice market is depend on EU market or US market. Nowadays, the EU pressure on the pesticide use in or chemical use in the rice, so that the government need to follow the regulation in order to supply for the market. Otherwise, we cannot compete. Even the production part, like normally we produce very high production and input, and then we cannot compete to the other rice exporter country. And the other thing that we say that is the organization, local NGO, we also focus to change the status of Cambodian farming society. Firstly, like when people are talking about the rice farmer, they are talking about that the status is, of them are poor. They are really poor compared to the other citizens in the country. So that we want to change, to raise their status from not just being to do farming as a poor family, but to do farming, increasing their income and compared to the other income from other services.
Which, of course, goes back to Fatou Janha's point as well about you can't have healthy systems if you don't have healthy people. Could you answer perhaps the same question? If there were one thing that you could change about either your country's policy framework or economic financial systems, what would that thing be?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to let you know that in sub-Saharan Africa, Gambia, the Gambian women have been given the exclusive use right to manage the Ramsar area, the shellfish in another area, which doesn't happen just like that. It's a win-win situation for government. And then what I want to say here is, okay, when we started selling oysters, it was, you all know how expensive oysters are, but in the Gambia, it costs you a few cents to get oysters. Now, with our intervention, oysters is now, the price has been lifted up, and now you can vacuum pack oysters and sell to the outside, in the region, in the West African region, which, I mean, is okay. We haven't got the water quality hazard certification yet to be able to do that, but at least we have gone further. Even though it's still poor, we want to go much higher than where we are. We want donors to come and fund. We want them to understand that this is the grassroots program. Without this, it's like a tree. You have the roots and you have the leaves. Without the roots, you are nowhere. You're going backwards. So I'm saying that government also cannot work together, or cannot work by itself. The government has to work with the private sector, the academia, the NGOs, without which I don't think we can achieve much. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And it fits perfectly into our conference topic because, of course, partnerships.
Partnerships. We talk about all the time, we're talking about what's, the top, what they are doing, but you don't talk about the bottom. So it's like you drinking the milk and leaving the black tea underneath. Where does it take us to? We don't. I think we could be, I'm looking at it from a different point of view from now.
Thank you very, very much. To you, Christina Rankel, you, of course, were trying to get other people to look at things from a different point of view. What kind of feedback did you get for your spot that we saw there, and how is it influencing your work as you go on?
Well, I can't say how the people are donating now even more money or shared it a lot, because it was shared by the Cannes Lions online, but not by WWF, maybe because it looked like it was made in 48 hours, I don't know. But well, so I can just say what creative feedback we got from WWF and the jury and creative people, and they were all really pleased, and they liked the idea of talking to people in a more humorous way and try to find different ways to talk to people and get them engaged and entertained.
And you mentioned at the beginning when you came to the stage that you felt a bit nervous.
Yeah.
If there were other people still feeling nervous, I'm sorry, we're trying our best.
Thank you.
If there were other people in this room who also thought, well, maybe I have an idea, but I don't know, I'm a little shy about putting this out there, and who feel nervous, what would you say to them?
That I feel nervous as well. And and now I think the most frightening thought is what the world will look like if we don't do work on ideas that we have now. So I think if you keep that in mind, and then you just have to, you know, keep being annoying and annoy people with your idea until they start listening and cooperating.
Can I make one comment on that?
Thank you, of course.
Stole your applause. Nerves and excitement come from the same place, so you're excited as well as nervous.
Positively nervous.
Yeah, just got to flip the script on that. But this idea of change, like what you just said, is so important and so powerful. If we're not willing to imagine something different to what we see every day, then we won't actually have the foresight to do that. We create the world creates us as much as we create it. So everything we design, our media through to our materials, are influencing us. And so ultimately, if we don't have people like you who might be nervous but say at the end of the day, this is a better way of communicating sustainability. In fact, the WWF have their own report that's called Simple and Painless that says that if we keep telling people that doing small individual acts like changing your light bulbs and riding a bike will deal with the magnitude of the problem that we face, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because we're actually not creating a positive spillover effect. We're actually apathizing people. And we're not making that relationship, we're not filling that cognitive dissonance. So it's really important that no matter how nervous we are and how embarrassed and frustrated we are, that we stand up and that we try to get new ideas on the table, and that we really do challenge the status quo, and we fail well, and we learn from that, and we keep building to solve these problems. Okay.
Totally agree.
Fatou, did you want to say something?
Yes, what I wanted to say was that in the Gambia, you see, when I come to meetings like this, I feel a bit kind of, not awkward, but out of place. Because we have complete different problems from the European and their environment. But nevertheless, we want you to hear us. So what I'm saying here is that the Gambia, when we started this program, it has been so successful that we have now have a transboundary program. We are now replicating this same program in Senegal, in southern Senegal, where we all share the same estuary. And then we also passed it on to Ghana. The women in Ghana came to the Gambia on a study tour, and then we went back to them to teach them. And guess what? They were like, oh, you are African sisters coming to teach us. It was well accepted. And we realized that there are no mangroves in that area. In Benin, no mangroves. In Togo, no mangroves, because they don't understand. So what are we doing? Why are we? These are the basics. And the women, the communities, they are chopping off all the mangroves. And yesterday we are talking about climate change and these people are not aware of what is happening. So I think we should do better. And we are doing the little that we can do by sharing our information, sharing our little whatever we can to our fellow Africans in the African continent.
Thank you very much, because that, of course, brings up the point that we also briefly mentioned yesterday, maybe it was this morning, the importance of horizontal partnership as well, regional cooperation, South-South, whatever.
South-South, yeah.
And Sam, may I ask you, you said a few words about cross-border initiatives as well. But maybe you can expand on that too.
Yeah, that in our initiative, we found that we start to change the people like not changing from upside down, but changing from what they have. Mean that we are telling them, or we are working with them to let them to think on what they have, don't think on what they don't have. So what they have is just like land, resources, labor, and even money, what they have. And then start from what they have. Don't think on the sky, just think on the ground, and then start working on that. And for example, like some also opposed to the SOI that the techniques need a lot of labor. But when after we practice, and it saves a lot of labor, and especially for the woman who responsible for transplanting until harvesting. But the woman said that we take very few hours to do this and to do that in that practices, so that we save our time and we can do other things else rather than just only focusing on the SOI, on the rice farming. And on the other hand, it's about the environment. Like for SOI, it consumes less water, 2 or 3 times less water than the conventional practices, so that it consumes less, and then we save a lot of water for our planet.
Thank you very, very much. So, Minister, perhaps a few closing thoughts?
Yes. After listening to them, the only thing that came to my mind is that we actually celebrate what you have done and you are doing, but mainly, or most important, we celebrate life. There is hope, and we have to work towards that. Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very, very much. Indeed, throughout our conference, there's been a slight tension between the positive and the negative, between the optimistic and perhaps the more, the less positive side. And it's very hard for moderators to say words like pessimistic, but certainly what you have told us is all about the fact that change is possible. So many, many thanks to all of you. And we congratulate you, and please stay on stage because we're going to move right into the final closing session of our conference. And in fact, it celebrates the very thing that several of you brought up, which is partnership. And that cooperation is at the very root of so much of what we have been talking about here across the whole 2 days. As you know, PAGE stands for Partnership for Action on a Green Economy. It came into existence 4 years ago, and it has continued to expand ever since as a springboard for collaborative effort to advance transformation to inclusive green economies worldwide. So in this final session, we are going to hear both from a couple of PAGE pioneers, the PAGE organizational partners, and then also from a very new PAGE member. And I'd like to start out by asking one of the first PAGE pioneers and one of the 2 most recent new members to join me on stage. That will be Mongolia and Uruguay. And when you're here, I will then introduce you. So if you'll please come up to me on stage. Thank you very much. Can we just say goodbye to the Minister Gutiérrez and thank him very much? Welcome. Very nice to meet you. So it is my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Cherendoj Beltbayar. I hope I said that more or less correctly. He's Vice Minister for the Environment and Tourism for Mongolia, and your ministry was a first mover back in 2013, advocating that Mongolia join PAGE and making it the first country to do so. And I'd like you to tell us, if you would please, what you see as the most important fruits of 4 years of page engagement. Yes, you can speak from the podium, please.
Эрхэм хүндэт сайд төлөөлөгч ноёд хадагтай нараа. Юуны өмнө Монгол Улсын засгийн газрын нэрийн өмнөөс ногоон эдийн засгийн төлөөх түншлэлийн сайд нарын байгууллагыг амжилттай зохион байгуулсан донор орнууд, олон улсын байгууллагууд болон нийт оролцогчдод талархал илэрхийлье.
Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all the people here, and also on behalf of the Ministry of Environment and Tourism of Mongolia and the Mongolian delegation, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Minister of Environment, Nature Conservation, Building and Nuclear Safety of Germany, Ms. Hendricks, and Head of UN Environment and UN Under-Secretary General, Mr. Soleim, for invitation to participate in this very important conference.
Сайд нарын баг хурал нь байгаль орчин, экологийн тэнцвэртэй байдал, эрүүл аз жаргалтай, ядуурл ажилгүйдлээс ангид бүх нийтийг хамарсан нийгмийн хөгжлийн төлөө дэлхийн улс орнуудын хөгжүүлж буй бодлого, үйл ажиллагаа туршлагаас хуваалцаж хамтын ажиллагаа эхлүүлэх нь нэн сайхан боломжийг олголоо.
So Page Ministerial Conference actually has provided us great opportunities to have a dialogue on very important issues like Global Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, national policies and actions, and meet leaders of the government, business, international organizations, academic and civil society organizations, and make really good connections for partnership.
Монгол улс ногоон хөгжлийн бодлого доктортой хөгжлийн үзэл баримтлалаа батлан хэрэгжүүлж байна. Эдгээр хөгжлийн бодлого нь Монгол хүмүүрийн хүсэл тэмүүлэл, итгэл шингэсэн ирээдүйг харж чадсан баримт бичиг юм аа. Тийм учраас бид нэгэн сэтгэлээр нэг зүгт тавьсан зорилготой хүрэхин төлөө зүтгэж байна.
Mongolia joined Page in 2014, so we are the first country to join Page. And with the support of Page and other international organizations, the government of Mongolia has been implementing the Green Development Policy of Mongolia as well as Sustainable Development Vision 2030.
Манай улс ногоон эдийн засгийн төлөв түншлэлд хамгийн анх нэгдэж энэ санаачлалын өрөөгөөжийг хүртсэн орн юм аа. Түншлийн хүрээнд доктортой хөгжил, ногоон эдийн засгийн эрхсүн шинжил, бодлогыг судалгааг хийж, хүний нөөцийг шалтгаалжуулах, банк санхүүгийн салбар доктортой санхүүжилтийн зарчмыг нэвтрүүлж, ногоон зээлийн сан байгуулах их үндсийг тавьсан. Мөн ногоон эдийн засгийн талаарх олон нийтийн ойлголтыг дээшлүүлж, мэдлэг ур чадвартай, сайн боловсон хүчинтэй болсон билээ.
So with the support of Page, we have achieved a lot, and we have made a great progress to turn the green vision of Mongolia into reality. We have set legal and regulatory foundation for green economy policy reform, enhanced human resource capacities, and strengthened public and private partnership, introduced sustainability principles in banking and financial sector of Mongolia, and created the foundation for establishing the first Mongolian Evergreen Credit Fund. We also have raised public awareness and enhanced knowledge on green economy.
Ийм манай улсын хэрэгжүүлж байгаа бодлого үйл ажиллагаа нь олон улсын сайн туршлага, ногоон эдийн засгийг хөгжүүлэх хамтын ажиллагааны бодит загвар болно гэдэгт итгэлтэй байна.
I believe that Mongolia could become a model country and international best experience in implementing the green economy principles in the reality.
Эрхэм хурлын дарга Монгол улс ногоон эдийн засгийн төлөв түншлэлийн ханиулагчдын удирдах зөвлөлийн уулзалтыг зохион байгуулагч орноор сонгогдсны баяртайгаар мэдгдрийн ташрамд та бүхнийг манай оронд айлчлан ирэхийг урьж байгааг мань хүлээн авна уу. Хурлыг 2017 оны 9-р сарын 18-нд эхлэх 7 хоногт Улаанбаатар хотноо зохион байгуулахаар төлөвлөж байна.
So we believe to continue and expand our collaboration with Page partners, donors, and Page countries in the years ahead. And taking this opportunity, I would like to highlight that Mongolia is hosting the next Page Donor Steering Committee meeting. We plan to organize it in a week starting on 18 September 2017 in the capital of the country. And this will include a number of events, including the high-level meeting with parliamentarians and government of Mongolia as well as Mongolian Sustainable Finance Forum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite
Thank you very much. And you can please stay with us here on the stage. And we will now go to one of Page's two newest member countries. And before I introduce him, just a word, ladies and gentlemen, he will be speaking Spanish. If you need a translation headset, I hope that you have one available. And otherwise, you'll probably have to learn a little Spanish. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Eduardo Fabian Perea. He is the Director of Employment at the Ministry of Employment of Uruguay. And this conference represented a debut, as it were, your country's first official interaction with the Page Partnership. So I wonder if you could please tell us something about your expectations of what the one thing is perhaps that your country would most like to achieve through Page in the coming years.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Es un gusto, un honor y además extendemos el agradecimiento en nombre de la República Oriental del Uruguay, de nuestro presidente de la República, el doctor Tabaré Vázquez, y de nuestra ministra de Industria y Energía, que no ha podido estar y que nos ha encomendado en su lugar transmitir el enorme honor y reconocimiento que significa para el Uruguay ser parte de Page a partir del día de hoy. Las siglas que de alguna manera acompañan este importante evento son la inclusión y la sustentabilidad. Uruguay es un pequeño país de poco más de 3 millones de habitantes que hace 12 años mantiene un crecimiento económico mantenido en estos 12 años que ha oscilado entre el 12%, entre el 10% y el 1,5% o 2% que se acaba de concretar en el año 2016. Junto con ese crecimiento económico, el Uruguay logró bajar la tasa de pobreza de un 40% que tenía en el 2005 a un 10% que tiene en el 2016. Y logró eliminar la indigencia de un 5% que tenía en el 2005 a un 0,5%, a un menos de un 1% que tiene en el 2016. Junto con esto se bajó la tasa de desempleo y se lograron importantes niveles de crecimiento y de inversión pública y privada. Por lo tanto, podemos decir, sí, que Uruguay es un país que ha tenido tasas de desarrollo con inclusión social y con redistribución de la riqueza. Pero a eso se le ha intentado agregar, más allá de que quedan desafíos y el compromiso con Page es asumir esos desafíos, se le ha incorporado el cuidado del medio ambiente y la transformación de actividades que generaban daño al medio ambiente o que generaban utilización excesiva de recursos naturales, se está en un proceso de transformación, entre ellos en la energía, donde ha habido importantes niveles de inversión para energías renovables y en la cual se está en un camino de formación técnica para ser desde la región un país que pueda apoyar a la región en este camino que ha transitado nuestro país. Entonces, el ingreso a Page es un enorme desafío, es un enorme compromiso para nuestro país, pero es una oportunidad, como se ha dicho y se ha manifestado aquí a lo largo de estas importantes sesiones, es una oportunidad interna para trasladar la discusión y el compromiso del gobierno que asume este compromiso desde la Presidencia de la República, el ámbito interinstitucional desde el cual se impulsan las políticas de economía verde en Uruguay está presidido por Presidencia de la República y a partir de allí por el resto de los ministerios involucrados de manera interinstitucional. La solicitud de ingreso a Page se hizo además con la participación de actores sociales, entre ellos de los trabajadores, porque conceptualmente se entiende que los temas de la economía verde, los temas del medio ambiente y los temas de los recursos naturales no son solo objeto de decisión de las generaciones actuales, sino son objeto de decisión que afectan a las generaciones futuras. Por lo tanto, las decisiones en materia de inversión y de empleo deben ser tomadas con el más amplio concepto, entendiendo de que no hay una contradicción entre empleo y desarrollo económico. Por lo tanto, agradecemos el habernos aceptado, lo agradecemos además con el compromiso de querer estar a la altura de ser parte de esta organización mundial y aspiramos a desarrollar una estrategia con el conjunto de organizaciones y países a la interna de nuestro país y también ser un foco o un faro que ayude a país en la región. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Many thanks, Director Perea. With this ministerial conference, the second page ministerial conference drawing to a close, it's time now to look to the future and pass the torch. And so I would like to start with South Africa, which is very much hoping that it can host the next page ministerial conference. And I will ask the South African Minister, Edna Molewa, to please join us on stage. Hello. And would you care to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Madam Facilitator. Would like to, first of all, take this opportunity to thank the German government and its people, all the donors, as well as the participants in the PAGE program, the board members who we actually sometimes forget to mention, for inviting us, firstly, to this very important ministerial conference. And linked to that, we would like to take this opportunity to thank you again, the same team, for having allowed us to become part of this important forum PAGE. South Africa has indeed benefited a lot. We continue to learn a lot. At this conference itself, we have learned so much. We have learned a lot in the previous meetings, in the previous interactions. We have had an opportunity to have evaluation of our projects that we are implementing on the ground being done at home in South Africa. And certainly, I believe that I speak on behalf of all South Africans, and indeed I'm very confident when I say this, that we are all very grateful for having been allowed this opportunity to become members of PAGE in the past, since its inception, in fact. We thought that then it is important that as we take these lessons that we have learned, the interactions that we have had here, because I think we have learned a lot, all of us, from communications to everything else, technologies, and all that has happened here. As we go to implement that back in our countries, but also interacting and joining as a world, we then thought that it's important that we don't leave this session and this conference without making an offer on behalf of South Africa, that we offer to host the next conference, ministerial conference, and that goes therefore with the preparations and all that goes with it. We have already had a discussion with the ministry and UNEP as well regarding the more or less the time that they would select. I'm sure they would then make the necessary announcement. We are making this offer. We are going back home to have a discussion with our cabinet, which we don't believe they will ever say no, because this is quite important. I think they've already said so. But yes, indeed, it is an offer. Thank you very much. Would like to see all of you in South Africa a few years, or 1.5 years, 2 years down the line, whichever has been decided upon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency. You can stay here with us, please. Thank you very much, Excellency, and I know that that is a very generous offer, and I think people will be very excited about it indeed. And looking still further into the future, it is a pleasure to welcome the host of the Page Ministerial Conference after that. The host is the United Arab Emirates, and please welcome Aisha Al-Abdouli. She is Chief Innovation Officer in the Directorate of Green Development at the Ministry of Climate Change and Development of the UAE. Welcome. Hello.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's been now 3 years since the United Arab Emirates hosted the first Page conference in Dubai in March 2014. I'm personally very pleased to come back here, and I'm amazed to see that the number of Page countries has increased, and the enthusiasm and commitment among ministers around the world to the green economy transformation. The discussions of the last 2 days clearly show that we made a great progress for the last 3 years, which we should all celebrate. And with the great support of UN agencies, we can move towards a greener, more inclusive society step by step and achieve the SDGs by 2030. Since UAE joined Page Network, we have significantly benefited from increasing direct interaction and engagement with UN colleagues. The UN Environment Program, and if you allow me in particular to thank my dearest friend, Mr. Stevenson, and his team for their great supporter and contributor of the development of UAE State of a Green Economy report. Today, we had reached actually to the 3rd version of that report, and I think that my colleague Fatma is now distributing copies of this report to all of you. So make sure that before you go, you have a copy of this report with you. And we have actually, for the sake of its transportation and traveling, we had prepared a very small version of it, which will be I make sure that you got all a copy of it. And we had also a smaller version in a form of a business card, actually. So we don't, distribute business cards with our names. We distribute business cards with the State of a Green Economy components, where you can actually go to the back of it, and you will see where you can get an electronic copy of that. So today, we are very also honored and pleased to announced at Page Berlin 2017, the 3rd version, the State of a Green Economy Report 2017 update here, and we will make sure that the electronic copy will be already on our website of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment in UAE, so please make sure to visit that and to get a copy, because I consider it to be a very valuable knowledge product that we would like to share with you. In October last year, we hosted the UN Environment Finance Initiative Global Roundtable, and with the UNEP FI colleagues who helped us actually to engage the local financial institution, and we had managed to have 32 institutions as the signatories of the Dubai Declaration on Sustainable Finance. UNDP also has been a great partner in the development of the world green economy in Dubai. We are now seeking also partnerships with UNIDO for green industry and ILO for green jobs. So I wouldn't take much of your time, but Dubai will organize Expo 2020 for the first time in the MENA region. Expo 2020 will be designed around the 3 themes: sustainability, opportunity, and mobility. Sustainability will inform every aspect of Expo 2020, from the overreaching philosophy to the physical design of the site and the infrastructure. United Arab Emirates, therefore, would like to host the future conference of Page 2020, considering Expo 2020 as the greatest opportunity to bring innovative ideas and promising solutions together with Page countries and to truly realize a global collaboration for sustainability living. We very much appreciate and praise the enthusiastic support of Page colleagues and wish you all the success and the journey toward transforming to green economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, and please do stay with us here on stage. I have to find how I cannot turn my back to someone. I think the small hole here. So, Madam Moleva, the minister from South Africa, mentioned that the management board had not yet been adequately recognized, and in fact, that's exactly what we want to do right now. I would like to invite the Page Management Board members to the stage. That would be Tim Kasten, Deputy Director of the Economy Division in UN Environment and Chairperson of the Page Management Board, and hopefully joining us as well on stage, Tim Scott, who serves with the United Nations Development Program in New York as Policy Advisor and Program Manager on Inclusive Green Economy. Stephen Sikkers, Director of the Department of Environment at UNIDO. Vic van Vuren, Director of the Enterprise Department at the ILO. And Angus McKay, who is Manager, Green Development and Climate Change Program at the United Nations Institute for Training and Research. Are they also in the room? Okay, great. Yes. So Tim Kasten, may I ask you to say a few words, please?
Thank you very much, Melinda. And let me first say that I'm quite honored and humbled to be amongst all these innovators and provocateurs, and it makes me nervous as well. So, and thanks to our South African partners and from the UAE for their offers to host our next sessions, which are very, very welcome. Friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen two very inspiring and exciting days, rich in interaction and full of opportunities to learn from each other, bringing together many different voices in this fantastic setting. From Sunday evening's media debate, over the evening reception with the dinosaurs, up to the award session just now, we've had amazing momentum. Participants challenging the business as usual scenario and bringing forward their ideas on how to build inclusive and sustainable economies and helping to make green economy the main event. You've come to this conference from many different parts of the world and from many different backgrounds to discuss how we can power the Sustainable Development Goals and move from ideas to action. We would like to thank all of you that have taken on the journey and followed the invitation to engage and be part of this discussion. The conference offered a deep dive into three key drivers of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda: inclusive green growth, green investment, and sustainable lifestyles. Over and over, we heard in the sessions that investments are key to sustainable development. But we need investments that contribute to more than just economic growth. We need investments with net benefit for societies that improve the lives of people, generate jobs, and strengthen the ecological foundations of our well-being. From the many national and international initiatives that contributed to this conference, it is evident that there is a momentum for change. Amazing things are happening everywhere in the world, and they are happening at all levels. We've had a unique opportunity in this conference to bring pioneers together. Governments that are at the front line of policy intervention and have the power to create enabling frameworks. Companies that lead by example and build their business model around sustainability. Champions in civil society that are shaping public awareness. And consumers who drive change in their economies and societies with their daily choices on the food they eat, the products they buy, or the services they use. The awardees of our last session are excellent examples of how individuals have succeeded to move from ideas to action. There is momentum for change, but we have also heard voices of caution that things will not be automatic, that there is an uphill battle still to fight. There are many new leaders and new pioneers, but we still need more. A call for urgent action, a broader effort, more dialogue, scaling up, reaching beyond the inner circle, and creating a truly inclusive green economy has come out very clearly from this conference. We as Page partner agencies are committed to take the momentum forward in partnership with many other initiatives and organizations represented here and integrate new ideas and key messages back into our program. I would now like to ask my colleagues in the Page agencies to help bring these messages forward. by providing their tweet, which will go out at this conference conclusion, and to help in bringing some of those key messages to all of us and beyond the people in this room. Angus, may I start with you, please?
Thank you, Tim, very much, and thank you, everybody, for your patience. So, Unitar's tweet: tomorrow's solutions for green economy now in all page partner countries as an inspiration to all. Hashtag policies, hashtag finance, hashtag skills, hashtag page Berlin.
Very nice. There it goes. There it goes.
Stefan.
Thank you. Page Berlin, hashtag Page Berlin, that is. Business is key driver to hashtag green economy, industry and government to work together to promote green technologies and education.
Short and sweet.
Thanks, I'm not used to reading tweets. Let's see. Hashtag Page Berlin catalyzes hashtag diverse. I'm not going to read the hashtags. Partners for SDGs implementation with gender, inclusive, innovative climate action for people, planet, and prosperity.
Thanks.
Thank you. This is quite understandable when I read it to say that I'm from the ILO. Government, workers and employers and all of us are active agents of change for a just transition to inclusive green economies.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much to all of you. Then I would like to ask, on behalf of our host, Stefan Kontjes, who is the Commissioner for the 23 Agenda and also Head of Division at the Federal Ministry of the Environment, as well as his team, to please join us on the stage. Alina White, Katarina Peschen.
A big thank you from Alina White, Katarina Peschen, and myself to Stephen Stone and his team and all partners in PAGE standing here and also those who are not on stage. It was an extraordinary, productive team effort which we will never forget, and we are so glad that South Africa is planning to host the next PAGE Ministerial. This is really encouraging. Thank you so much, and I hope that some of the donors will also join us on stage. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stefan, for that. And yes, please, if our donors can join us.
There's still lots of room up on here on the stage, so.
And thanks, Stefan, for that, for those kind words. But as PAGE is a partnership, there was a partnership as well involved in putting this conference together. Many other initiatives contributed to the success of this conference. Among the many, I would like to recognize our key partners, the Green Economy Coalition, the Global Green Growth Institute, the Green Growth Knowledge Platform, and the Poverty and Environment Initiative. They all helped very much to put this conference together. Would also like to thank our funding partners who have joined us here. Thank you very much. Norway, Finland, Sweden, Republic of Korea, Switzerland, the European Union, Germany, and the United Arab Emirates for both their generous financial support and their continuing guidance to PAGE. Thank you also to all the great, very inspiring speakers we had during this week, and for the active participation of all, and for our interpreters. And our biggest thank you goes to our host, the Ministry of Environment of Germany. Thank you for inviting us to Berlin and for the incredible hospitality.
Thank you to Stefan Conchas, in particular, and his team with Alina White. Is Alina here? There. From the Ministry of Environment, and Katharina Peschen from the German International Cooperation. Your leadership, dedication, and commitment to helping pull this together is admirable, and it's really been great working with you. And not to forget the many other colleagues that we can't list because, of course, behind all these people, there's even more that have worked both in the ministry, in GIZ, the event management company, and our agencies as well as the Page Secretariat. Thanks to South Africa and to UAE for offering to host our next events. And finally, a thank you to Melinda Crane, who has really done an excellent job of keeping us all enthused, not just on time, but unenthused. And for truly having made this an exciting event. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you very much, Tim. So that was the inspiring part. Here comes the slightly more mundane, but a few very crucial hints before we let you go. If you haven't had time to take in that Green Economy Pioneers exhibition, now is the moment. They are still there. It really is very, very interesting. Lots of thought-provoking best practices, innovation, partnership material. So please do go visit those two rooms, Reindeer and Elk. There is still time. And if you're not entirely ready to go cold turkey in terms of panel discussions, we also have another one of those for you. The Think 20 and SDSN event, Crisis of Multilateralism, will commence at 3:45. That'll give you just enough time to pay a 15-minute visit to the exhibition in the Stockholm room, and it is open to all participants on a first-come, first-served basis. Please don't forget to hand back your translation devices. They go back there on that table, or at least please don't leave the room with them. And do leave the room with your own possessions because the room will later on be cleaned up. So please don't leave anything in here if you are remaining in the building. And finally, let me say thank you to all the speakers, to our hosts, to all of the different partners, and most especially to you in the audience for your attention and your contributions throughout 2 very intensive days. So I wish you safe journeys home and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Thanks.